Hey guys, so let's just get straight into the lesson. So we did start the lesson a little bit late, but yeah, I was just having a bit of technical difficulties. Yeah, anyway, let's just get straight into the lesson. Now, this lesson is just going to be about text messages and an impressive conversation that you remember well, right? So part one is mainly just about text messages. Now, first question. Do you reply to text messages as soon as you receive them? I want you guys to start with a clear yes, no, or it depends. So you just have to pick a side, like I said for some questions last week. Now, just give a short reason or explanation. If I'm free, I try to respond right away. If I'm busy with school or work, I usually reply later. Now, this is the vocab. It's just I tend to. It really depends on the situation. Now, the sample. It really depends on the situation. If I'm not doing anything important, I usually reply straight away because I don't like leaving them on read. But when I'm in class or spending time with family, I tend to respond later. So the sample just gives it really depends on the situation and it lists why. So let's get Hang Mai. Would you like to share your response?
Well, it really depends. If the message is from my family or close friend, I usually reply right away because I don't want them to wait. But if I'm busy or the message isn't that important, I might leave it for a while and respond later. That's all.
Right. Um, yeah. So, I didn't really hear you on that last bit, but you said like if if it wasn't like your family member, yeah, something along the lines of that. Yeah, I apologize for not typing quick enough, but um, hmm, what is happening? All right, yeah, I'm just lagging a bit, guys. I apologize. Okay, it really depends. If the message is from my family, I usually reply right away because I don't like for them to wait. I would change this to because I don't want to keep them waiting. And if the message was isn't from a family member, then I might reply a bit later. Yeah, so pretty similar to this. Pretty good. Uh, let's do let's do Three Ling.
Um, it really depends. If it's a message from my family or my close friends, I will reply immediately. But if I'm busy, I might leave for a while and reply later.
Yep, great. It really depends. If it's a message from my family or close friends, I would reply immediately. If I'm busy, I might wait a while and reply later. Yep. Yeah. I would just include just like a few more examples. Um, yeah. Other than that, pretty good response. Sorry, guys, my internet's kind of weird today. Okay, one more response, and then we will move on to the next question. Ming,
Uh, yes, so it really depends on whether I'm free or not. and the message is from who. If it's from my relatives or my family members, I will answer it immediately. But if it's from others people, then I will answer it later.
Yep. These response, they all sound like almost like the same. Um, but yeah, let's just move on to the next question. And that is, how often do you send text messages? Now, I would like you guys to answer directly. It just makes you seem more confident in your response and just explain why. So all these questions, you guys just need to answer directly and just explain why and just link back to the question. So that's basically just going to be the overall structure of what I want your guys' responses to be. So I send text messages several times a day, mostly to my friends and classmates. Nowadays, it's just the easiest way to stay in touch, especially when I'm busy. For example, I often text my group mates about school projects or plans after class. So, the sample here elaborates on this first sentence, which is I send text messages several times a day, mostly to my friends and classmates, because it is the easiest way to stay in touch, and included examples as well. So, can I get Mingao? Mingao, can you answer the question, please? Okay, let's get Ngọc Anh.
Actually, I send messages every day to stay in touch with my friends, my lover, and my colleagues. I think it's uh, I think it's in the easy and quick way to communicate, especially when I'm too busy to make a phone call.
Great. Um, yeah, so I would just remove like this actually. So I send messages every day to stay in touch with my friends, etc. I think it's the easiest way and the quickest way. Quickest way to communicate, especially when I'm busy, when I'm too busy to make a phone call. Um, yeah, okay, pretty good response. I wouldn't really change anything of it. Can we get Nguyễn Học?
Um, I send text messages several times a day. Um, like mostly about to my friends and classmates to ask about the tomorrow lesson or the uh the deadline of the homework. Um um that else.
Yep. I send text messages several times a day to my friends and classmates to ask about tomorrow's lesson or deadlines of the homework. Um, so, yep, okay. I would just like you to just elaborate a bit more on your response. Let's see. I send text messages several times a day to my friends and classmates to ask about tomorrow's deadline. Now, I might just include like I send text messages several times a day, um, uh, as it is easy to ask about tomorrow's lesson or deadlines of the homework. Yep. Let's just move on to the next question. Is sending messages popular in your country? So, the same structure as always. Yes, I'd say sending messages is really popular in my country. Nowadays, almost everyone has a smartphone, and people rely on apps like WhatsApp and Instagram to communicate. It's quick and convenient, so most people prefer texting instead of calling. Yeah, so the sample replied with yes, so like it just answered the question immediately and included examples. And yeah, so I would like you guys to just try to keep like the same structure as this. And yeah, I'll call on Hung Zhang.
Um, yes, definitely. I think texting is the second most popular means of communication in my country due to its convenience. Like adults usually use dialogue or emails for their own work, while teenagers like us prefer using Messenger or Instagram to chat or gossip together.
Yep. Yep. So, texting is the second most popular means of communication in your country as it is convenient. Adults use Zalo for their own work. Teenagers use, oh my, yeah, I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah, my typing is just like not that fast today, so I apologize for that. Adults use, yep, teenagers use Messenger, you said, and Instagram to chat together. Uh, I would just say like while teenagers use Messenger and Instagram to chat together. Right, okay, so you pretty much followed the entire structure of this. Yeah, okay, that's a good response. Let's get Khak Hung or like Khak Hung. I'm not sure if that's how I say it.
Um, Certainly, I think if in my country, sending messages is very popular because people use Zalo or messengers is a more essential for staying in touch. And I think many ac- acquaintances may still prefer Zalo because their contact group and their local network or for business or office or communication.
Okay.
That's
Okay. So I would just say, instead of I think in my country sending messages is very popular, I would say something like sending messages is widely popular in my country because people use Zalo or Messenger for staying in touch. Now this doesn't really make sense because it's not really popular because people use it. You know what I mean? I mean, it kind of is, but I would just say like sending messages is popular in my country because people want to stay in touch or something. So I would just do because people want to stay in touch with each other. And you said, and I think many acquaintances use Zello because they're a contact group or local network or for business or something. I wouldn't really go on and list um like these kind of uses. Um yeah, so I'll probably just leave it like that. Let's just get someone else. Minghuan. Minghuan, can you answer the question, please? All right. Let's do Minh Quang.
So, yes, I think it's extremely popular. Most people prefer texting rather than calling, especially younger generation. I think it's very quick, convenient, and allows us to multitask while communicating.
Yep. So I think it's very popular because people prefer, oh, sorry, as people prefer texting rather than calling, especially let's say, especially adolescents, which is just like basically a teenager, and you can put a full stop to that, and you can say something like, it is convenient. Um, is convenient. Now, multitask, I would say something like, it is convenient. Um, and people can multitask while communicating, right? Can multitask while communicating. Yup. So, right. So we've had about 3 responses. Let's move on to the next one. Did you send more messages when you were younger? Yeah, so this is kind of like a yes or no because there can't really be like a it depends kind of thing. Like because like you can't really like have like half half for like if you texted more messages when you were younger. So yes, I definitely sent more messages when I was younger, or not really. I actually text more now than before, and just explain why. So just like the same structure as always. Nowadays, I use social media more, so I don't really text as much. All right. So the sample. Yes, I definitely sent more messages when I was younger. Back then, my friends and I would text constantly about everything, from homework to weekend plans. Nowadays, I use messaging less because I prefer calling or just meeting people in person. Okay, so let's pick on someone. All right, let's get Phúc Đại.
So I would say no because when I was younger, I don't even have an individual device. So the only way that I can keep in touch with my friends is at school or through mm, through my parents' phone. But now when I have my own device, I can text messenger a lot more through like Instagram or Messenger.
Right. So I would say something like not really. This is because when I was younger, so I don't I would replace that to I didn't because we're talking about the past. So we're talking past tense. So don't is more like present tense, whereas didn't is if you're talking about the past. I wouldn't like say even because that's more like colloquial language. So yeah, so when I was younger, I didn't have a digital device, so the only way that I can get in touch with friends was through school, or through my parents for, or let's say my parents' phone. So this sentence, I would say, however, now, when I have my own device. Now, I wouldn't say when I have my own device. That's more like that's saying like you don't have a device and then you're gonna get a device. Like, you know what I mean? So I would just remove this word. However, now I have my own device and send messages a lot more through Instagram and Messenger. So this is a pretty good response. Let's get Tu Hương.
Thu Hương.
Can I see the question again?
Yep. Question is, did you send more messages when you were younger?
Yeah. Yes, I definitely sent more messages when I was younger. Because now I'm quite busy, so calling or meet directly with people can solve my problem and can connect easier than take a message.
Yep. So, you sent more messages when you were younger? I definitely sent, so not send, but sent. Remember, we're talking about the past, so we're trying to use past tense. I definitely sent more messages when I was younger because now, I would just remove this and just end the sentence like that. So this automatically just answers the question, and then this is going to be your elaboration, or it's just going to be you explaining why. So now I am quite busy. Gonna fix a few typos. So now I am quite busy. So calling or meeting directly with people can solve my problems and connect easier than taking messages. I would just say now I am quite busy and just pause. Therefore, calling or meeting people directly can solve my problems and can I would say and can make it easier to connect than taking messages, right? Let's get one more response before part 2. Let's get Thùy Dương.
Trần Thùy
Nguyễn
Dương và Nguyễn Thùy Dương, có hai bạn Dương.
Nguyễn Thùy Dương. Okay, we'll just call on Quang Minh.
I'm here.
Yep.
Can you explain again?
Yep, of course. So the question asks, did you send more messages when you were younger? So it's just asking, it's a yes or no question. So let's say you did send more messages when you were younger, you would respond with yes, and then you would say why. So yes, I definitely sent more messages when I was younger. And then you would say back then messaging was the main way I stayed in touch with friends, especially after school. But if you send more messages now, then you can say this. Right, are you ready?
Yes. Yes, I definitely send more messages when I was younger because of the messages. It's very important for me to study with my friend or chatting with my best friend.
Yep. So I
Yes.
definitely sent more messages when I was younger because I would say as messaging
Yes.
is very important for me to study with my friends. I would just change this to something like is messaging is very important for me to communicate with my friends about studying. Sorry, it is very important for me to communicate with my friends about our studies or just chatting with my best friend in overall. Okay, so we have just finished part 1. Now, part 2 is describe an impressive conversation that you remember well. Now, you should say who this person was. So, who was the person you were talking to, where you met this person, what you talked about, and why this conversation was impressive. So, this is the sample. One of the most impressive conversation I've ever had was with my English teacher back in high school. I met her during my final year when I was preparing for an important exam, and she always encouraged her students to think more deeply about life, not just about studying. We had this particular conversation after class one afternoon, and I was feeling really stressed about my grades. And she asked me what I actually wanted to do in the future. Instead of just giving advice, she shared her own experiences about failing once and how that failure helped her grow as a person. She told me that success isn't about marks, it's about learning how to handle pressure and keep improving. That talk really changed the way I looked at challenges. It made me realize that the mistakes aren't something to be afraid of, they're opportunities to learn. I still remember every detail of that moment. Okay, so this the first paragraph, it said who the person was, when the person met her, and so which was preparing for an important exam. Now, this is just talking about what the conversation was about and what you learned from it. So I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to think about your answer, and I will see you then. Alright, guys, it's been 5 minutes, so let's get some responses. Alright, so let's pick on Thuy
It's a convenience that the conversation made a powerful impression on me. Sometimes a conversation with the right person at the right time can have a positive impact on your life. I would like to talk about the meaningful conversation I had at the community center with her. She was a she was an environmentalist. One day we discussed many topics about environmental issues in a face-to-face conversation. We talked about how to protect the environment. Even now, I reflect on my issues regarding environmental concerns.
Yeah. So this first sentence, it kind of just doesn't really answer the question that well. When you want to answer, let's say like a question like this, you would just want to get straight to the point, which means just being very concise. So try to answer the question in as few words as possible. I would just remove this and say one meaningful conversation I had was at the community center. Sorry, I had was at the community center with you said Hun. Um, she was an environmentalist, so you said who she was, what you guys talked about, um, yeah, and where you met this person. So you also said that, but I don't think I really picked it up, and why this conversation was impressive. So I don't think you really included that part, but yeah, try next time to just include every single detail. All right, let's get Hoàng Mạnh.
The an impressive conservation that I remember well is uh, is with my math teacher. I meet him in my school uh, s- after class. He tell me he told me that I really bad in study, and he recommend me a better way to study and told me that I have to try to study much more to be a rich businessman when I grow up. The conser- conversation was impressive in how the how my teacher uh, uh, how my teacher inspired me. That's all.
Yep, an impressive conversation I remember well is with my math teacher. Right, so you just answered the question right off the bat. Right, you said it was your math teacher. You met him. So met, again, we're talking about past tense. I met him in my school after class. He told me that I am really bad in study. I would say he told me that I am really bad at studying. Why is my typing doing this thing? Oh, there we go. Okay. I met him in my school after class. He told me that I am really bad at studying and recommended me a better way to study. Okay, and we can do a full stop. You can do something like, he told me that I not have, had to study more to become a rich businessman. The conversation was impressive in how my teacher inspires. I would say inspires me because, yeah. Um, yeah, okay. Pretty good response. Let's just get one more. Let's get Minh Tú.
I'm here.
Yep. Minh Tú, can you answer the question, please? Minh Tú, are you there? Yeah, I'll just put you back on mute. Let's get Kimchi.
Yes. One of my one of my one of the most impressive conversation I've had was with my classmate and my teacher back in grade 9. It happened right before an important exam. My teacher shared a lot of helpful advice and encouraged us to do our best. After that, we all sent good luck messages to each other. That's all.
Yep. One of the most impressive conversation you've had was, yep, was with my classmate and my teacher back in grade 9. It happened right before an important exam. My teacher gave lots of helpful advice, and he said after we all sent good luck messages to each other. Okay, right, pretty good response. Let's move on to part 3, right? Which is mainly just about communication. Now, these questions are all pretty similar, as in like the way I would like you guys to answer it. So, answer the question, that's the most important step. I reckon try to do so in the first sentence. And after that is where you explain and elaborate and link back to the first question. So, sorry. All right. Okay, so the first question, do you think old people can communicate better than young people? So this is also like a yes, no, it depends sort of question. So you can say yes, old people can communicate better than young people, or you can say no, or something like that. Okay, Yeah, and after that, you want to explain why. For this question, I would say something like older generations grew up without social media, so they usually have, let's say, stronger skills, I guess, and can express their feelings easier in person. Or you can say something like young people tend to communicate faster and more effectively online because they've grown up using messaging apps or social media. Right, so this question is older people are better at face-to-face communication because they've had more life experience and know how to express their thoughts. So, this question says it depends. Now, you can just say something like a strong yes or no. So let's get some responses in. Um, let's pick um, Hangling.
I think it really depends on the situation. I think older people usually have better communication skill because they have more life experience and know how to spread their idea clearly. They also tend to be more patient when talking to others. However, young people are often more confident when using modern way to communication, like social media or online meeting. And I think it also depends on.
Right, okay. So you said, I think it depends on the situation. I think older people have better communication skills because they have more life experience and can express their thoughts more clearly. Um, and then you can say something like, furthermore, they tend to be more patient with the person they're talking to. And you said, however, young people are more confident when using social media or online meetings. Yeah, so I would just end this with just linking back to the question, something like overall, um, older people are better at communicating face to face. Okay, now let's get um let's get Ngọc Anh.
Um, I think maybe, but I think maybe, but not always. Old people are usually more patient and careful with their words. That can make their communication clearer. But young people, maybe they are often more open-minded and confident with expre- expressing their ideas. So I think it really depends on the situation and the person rather than age.
Okay, so You said, I think maybe, but not always. You can just say something like, it really depends. It really depends on the situation, I guess. Older people are more patient and careful with their words, and that can make their communication clear and comprehensible. Now, what this word means is just easy to understand. Now, yeah, so just easy to understand. Young people are often more open-minded and confident with expressing their ideas. So I think it depends on the situation and the person rather than age. Yeah, so this last sentence is very good. One thing I would just add is just
Hả? Nằm đến đấy.
yeah, all right. I would say something like however, or on the other hand. Young people are often more open-minded, etc. All right, very good response. Um, let's get now Ling.
Uh, yes, I think I think how people can talk better because they more experience. Young people are distance and social media.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Ling. I just can't really hear you. It's fine though, but I can always pick on you at just another time. Yeah, so I'm really sorry about that. I just couldn't hear you. Let's do Ming Huyan.
Um, can I see the question?
Yeah, of course.
Um, um, uh, um, yes, I think old people can communicate better than young people. First, they have more life experience, so they know how to choose the right word, avoid misunderstandings, and older people are usually more patient and willing to listen. Uh, uh, um, how, however, young people are more confident when using modern technology like social media, so they communicate better in online. Yeah.
You're right. Okay. First, they have more life experience, so they know how to choose the right words. Instead of saying so they know how to choose the right words, I would just change it to something like, let's see, you know how to choose the right words. I would say, something like they know how to um actually I would just say something like so that they know how to choose the right words to say. Furthermore, older people usually are more patient and willing to listen. However, younger people are more confident when using modern technology like social media, so they communicate better online. Right. So I'll just like finish this off with a linking sentence, something just like in conclusion, and then you can just answer the question again. So you can say like older people, blah blah blah. So, all right. Next question is, what are the advantages of having people of different ages living in the same house? Um, Now, again, just start with a direct answer. You can say something like, yeah, something like there are definitely several advantages to having people of different ages living under one roof. And then you can go on and list. So just explain, and you can add a second advantage if you want. So these are actually two like things for you to say. And I would just like you guys on top of that to just use like linking vocabulary. So something like on top of that, something like yeah, I didn't really add any to this one except for this one on top of that. And yeah, so can I please get let's get Twingan. Right, okay, we can get let's do Twizel. Chen Twizel.
So I think there are quite a few advantages. First of all, living with people of different ages help family members learn from each other. For example, younger people can get advice or experience from the older generation, while the elderly can feel supported and less lonely. And also it creates a stronger sense of connection within the family because everyone can share responsibilities and spend more time together. I think it's a good way to build understanding and respect among generations. That's all.
Yep. Yep. So, I couldn't really keep up with you. You were speaking quite fast. So you said I think there are quite a few advantages of having people of different ages living in the same house. Living with people of different ages um, can living with people of different ages will help um, yeah, so will
Learn from each other.
oh yeah, so I just put living with people of different ages will help young people learn from the older generation. So help the help the younger people get advice from the older generation, while let's say older people can feel supported. This creates stronger this creates a stronger sense of connection. because everyone can share responsibility and spend more time together. Overall, good way to build respect. All right, very good response. Yeah, I wouldn't really add anything else to that. That was a very good response. One thing that I would add though is try to speak a bit slower, just so that you're like easily comprehensible. All right. Next, let's get Phúc Đại.
So I think there are several advantage to have people from different ages living under one roof. Like all members can really learn from each other. Like old people can and sorry, young people can learn soft skills, manners, and life experience from the older one, while the old one can develop um res respo responsibilities for those who are younger. I believe this would eventually create a very strong bond between the members. Um, I think that's all.
Yep. So you said that there were several advantages from having people of different ages. Members can learn from each other. Young people can learn manners and life experiences. Yeah, overall, just like pretty similar to these other ones. What I would recommend about your response is try not to use as many filler words. So what I mean by filler words is saying things like the word like. I noticed you said that word quite a lot when you couldn't really think of something to say. What I recommend you to do is try to speak a bit slower, and when you feel the need to say something like or I reckon you just pause and just think about what you say, try to slow down your response a bit. So yeah, overall, this is a very good response. Just try to speak a little bit slower. Um, yes. So I think we can do one more before moving on to the next question. Oh, that's actually the last question. Okay. All right, let's get who haven't I picked on? Khánh Mai. Khánh Mai, can you answer the question?
Yes. I think it's good because people can learn from each other. Do you hear me?
I'm sorry, you're very quiet. I think it has something to do with like your end. Yeah, I can't really hear you well. It's perfectly fine though. I can pick on someone else. Um, let's do Minh Quang.
So, well, I think young people usually talk about entertainment, social media trends, fashion, and also their experience. Um, they also discuss about education, careers, and sometimes social issues that affect their generation.
Right, so notice how the question says, what are the advantages of having people of different ages living in the same house? Now, I think you didn't either didn't really understand the question or you're just answering a different question. So you said they discussed about education and social issues. I'm not really sure if you understood the question or not, but yeah. Anyway, we can move on to the next question. What topics do young people talk about? So I think you were talking something about like this question, whereas we were answering this question. So um can I okay, anyway, let me just explain this question real quick. What topics do young people talk about? Now again, start with a clear general response, something like school, music, social media. Now, you can add specific examples as well, and again, just use phrases, something like, let's see. Yeah, I didn't really add any of these phrases. I don't know why. Anyway, it would be good for you guys to add something like, to be honest, something like nowadays, something like, apart from that, yeah, just something like that. And yeah, try to have like a linking sentence at the end. Um, yeah, this is the last question, so I will give you guys a bit of time to think about your response. I will just see you in about, let's say, 2 minutes. All right, guys, that seems like enough time. So let's get some responses in. Let's get let's get Nhật Nam.
Nowadays, young people often talk about social media, trend, and entertainment, such as movie, music, and online games. They also discuss about study, career plan, and personal goal, um, technology, and um, popular culture play a big role in shaping the topic.
Yep, was that all? Right. So nowadays, young people often talk about social media and entertainment, such as movies or music. They also discuss about studies, technology, and popular culture. This last sentence, I would just not include that at all because you already listed stuff that young people often talk about. Now, I would just elaborate on why they would sort of do this. So you can say something like, this is because um, uh, this is because the topics help, let's say, start conversations for for them. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Now let's get Thu Hương.
Nowadays, young people always talk about wide range of their life story. For example, it's about travel experience, the recent movie they have watched, their hobby and interest. Furthermore, they can talk about their current events which have occurred before and have tips
Yep.
and have tips.
And sorry, what was that?
Health tips.
Health tips. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Nowadays, young people talk about a wide range of their life story. I would say something like lifestyle.
Story. Life
Life
story.
story. Right. Okay. So you said life story.
Life stories.
Wait, sorry, can you say that again?
Okay. Life
chuyện.
stories.
Right.
Câu chuyện
Okay.
hàng ngày á.
Okay. Okay. Recent movies.
Recent movies.
Wait, sorry. When you mean câu chuyện hàng ngày, do you mean like what people do in their everyday lives?
Yeah, daily life.
Daily life. Yeah. Okay. So I would just change that word to something like talk about a wide range of their lifestyle or like daily life instead of saying life stories because I don't think people normally say that. So it's something like talk about a wide range of their daily life, daily lives, I meant.
Daily
Recent
lives.
movies, their hobbies and interests. Furthermore, they talk about further events which have occurred before and health tips. I would just include just like a linking sentence, which is basically this. Overall, most young people like to talk about things that make them feel connected to their friends and online communities. So you can just talk about something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
And let's get who haven't I picked on? Let's get um let's do Hoàng Mạnh, Trần Hoàng Mạnh, can you answer? Right, okay, we can pick uh Khắc Hùng or Khắc Hưng.
Nowadays, young people often talk about the problem or issue of study or entertainment. Why the older people often talk about their daily life, and I I I have no idea about how old people talk about.
Yep. Okay, was that it? Right. So the question does say what topics do young people talk about? Doesn't really ask you anything about old people. So you said nowadays young people often talk about um, recent events or something like recent problems in society. Society just it's just like xã hội, I don't know how to say it in Vietnamese. I'm sorry, I don't know. Anyway, study or entertainment, well, the older people often talk about their daily life. Uh, yeah, the question doesn't really say anything about older people. So entertainment, and you can go on to like say like why they do it. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that concludes our lesson. I'm very sorry for ending it late, but thank you for coming along, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Yep, see you guys.
See you next week.